if we start today, I'm a college student and a lifelong or more thereabouts lifelong Edmonds resident. My parents moved here in 2004 when my mom got a job in Linwood, and I have lived here ever since. I think 2004. It depends on who you talk to, but arguably that's the Deadman's era.
Yeah,
Maybe towards the end.
Yeah, that's what my son used to say.
Yeah, and
Deadman's.
well, it's funny because I don't know if I learned the word later or if maybe I even knew it then, but I have been here for however you describe it. To me, it's been kind of a blossoming of Edmonds for ourselves and also I think the region at large. So I'm currently a college student at Seattle Central, so just over on Capitol Hill. I graduated from Edmonds Woodway in 2019, and so they handed me my diploma and I threw the hat or whatever, and then a few months later COVID happens and this kind of world that I felt like had been laid out in front of me became my parents' basement, and I think at the time that was it was dreadful, and I look back on it today, and I think about the last 3 years that I've been able to spend in the city, and have loved and have deepened and enriched my perspective of Edmonds. That I look back on it now as one of the best things that's ever happened to me. So, student, resident, long term, interested in building a more affordable Edmonds, interested in building a more vibrant Edmonds, and really just interested in building a safer Edmonds as well.
Thanks so much. I'm sure we have some questions and comments we'd like to throw your way.
Throw them.
Roll.
Well, one of the questions that I have asked of other people is when it comes to working with people who have differing opinions, and I don't mean just like one side and another side. It's like one side and another side and another side and another side. What have you done in the past to engage with varying groups like that on a completely non-partisan Edmonds kind of solution?
Yeah. I think I'll move this a little closer. I think the most literal experience would be working for the city as an intern for about a year. I think it was 9 months when I clocked out for the last time, but I was working in the planning and development department, and through that work, which was mostly community engagement for kicking off our new comp plan that's due at the end of next year, for kicking off a city project called Reimagining Neighborhoods and Streets. Those projects are different. All the projects I worked on were different, but the task is the same. The task is to connect with people who live in Edmonds, who are stakeholders in the decisions we make as a city, and to make them feel welcome in the conversation. And that, I think it is technically nonpartisan. So, in that role, I was very much committed to basically just sharing information and collecting what I heard and bringing it back to my boss. So that was really interesting to me because it showed me that in some ways the Edmonds that you see in the city council chamber or the Edmonds that you see at public meetings or commissions or boards is not always the Edmonds of people who don't feel comfortable doing those things, or for whatever reason just feel like it's not the best use of their time. And I met a lot of people who self-identified with that, as a part of my work with the city, going through, we had kind of 6 neighborhood groups that we focused on for one project, but all across Furdale, Westgate, 99, Perrinville, Seaview, Maplewood, all these different, the Bowl, all these different little constituencies. I got to meet with people who weren't always comfortable showing up and standing in front of a podium at 6 o'clock on a Tuesday night.
What did you do to bring people together?
Yeah,
And I do mean like their thought process or their conclusion. Or summary.
The probably the best example is the Reimagining Neighborhoods and Streets program. So, city set aside money to basically support community members in activating their neighborhoods. And activating is this urban planning word that basically just means lively. It's a healthy social environment. It's a healthy physical environment. People are comfortable just enjoying the space in their neighborhood with their neighbors. And in some neighborhoods, I think downtown is a good example. There's lots of ways to do that. In other neighborhoods, not so much. So, I remember working with a group of neighbors at Five Corners, so, the roundabout area. And we put up the door hangers and the flyers, and we were out in the community spreading the word that, hey, we're having this, table, we're pulling together some residents to design an activation event for their neighborhood, or an activation strategy. That's kind of a broad variety of things. It could be a streetery, it could be a street festival. Yeah, exactly. So I got to work with a group of, I think it was about 12 residents up in Five Corners who had never, they had followed city goings on, but had never really jumped in to participate. And it's a difficult process. And I think it's partly difficult because the America we have today is not quite the America we had in the 60s. People don't know each other as much when they live in the same community. They don't trust each other as much. There's kind of a variety of systemic factors that made, I think, that room in some ways uncomfortable for a lot of the people that were in it, including me. And what kind of transpired was just this beautiful, I just got to watch community happen in real time. People know their neighbors, and they can bring in folks who, are good at playing jazz. It ended up being a street festival with food trucks. And we had, did you? Okay. We had a local saxophone player who was just a connection of, one of the women that had been leading the team. So I remember those first meetings, and I actually wasn't able to attend that one, but I saw the photos and I heard all about it. And it felt successful, and I was really proud of that.
So, I raised my hand first.
Wait, 1 minute each.
Okay. So Mackey, I'm very interested. You talk about building an affordable Edmonds. What's your plan to build an affordable Edmonds?
Yeah. The simple and frustrating answer in many ways is just that we need to build more homes. Edmonds is not unique in dealing with what is a housing shortage. This is something that we're seeing happening across our region. We're also seeing it happen across tons of European cities as well. It's kind of this globally distributed challenge of we have more people than we thought we would. And then when you look at, we've been planning for growth since the 90s with the State Growth Management Act. You can look at the expectations for how we grow, and they really only tend to go up. So with those circumstances and a pandemic that allowed people to have more flexibility from their jobs, kind of coming to Edmonds and whether they were, moving with their just born children from a condo in Belltown, or, whether they just wanted to be able to enjoy the ambiance of the city. First people were probably looking for a little bigger home. Our housing market has reached a point where 40% of people are spending more than 30% of their income on their housing, whether they're renting or buying. In terms of affordable housing, there are. Okay, I'll speed through this. There's two kinds of affordable housing. There's the housing that the government pays for, and there's the housing that is called naturally affordable, quote unquote. Naturally affordable housing is more or less synonymous with older housing. In most healthy housing markets, older housing ends up making like 25% of the affordable supply. Because again, not all households need affordable housing when we measure affordability from a median income standpoint. So, okay, we need more naturally affordable housing. We need to build more over time. Yep.
Mackey, longtime residents.
Yeah.
My family's seen Edmonds go from a beautiful little waterfront town to a satellite city of Seattle. We've got the crime, we've got the parking, we've got the congested traffic, we've got the Highway 99 issues.
Yeah.
Older folks like us are concerned about public safety. Do you think the city government can impact all of that in a positive way?
Yeah, I think, particularly when you talk about the city growing, right? It's happened. There are different ways that we can accommodate just sheer population growth in terms of the way that, the spaces that they live in. It's a kind of a math problem. You have X number of places to live and X people, and those homes need to go somewhere. I think that for me, long term, we're going to find the most success building neighborhoods that are similar to the ones we already love, like downtown Edmonds. I think that we've tried other approaches, like the Highway 99 sub-area plan, that kind of we produced results that were not metabolized well by the people who lived there. And I think that downtown is a good goal in terms of the vibrancy, the cultural, social, economic amenities that the places people want to live.